So this is a glitch project I created. It's called SRI. This is a project that came out of Science Research Institute, which is a thing we used to host here in the summers for elementary and high school kids. Think 3D though is I think the name I'll keep, and we can change the name and do some other things. And this is how projects look when you first come to them. You can see this is the project. Down here is I can view the source, which will show me the code. I can read the README, which is Markdown, or I can visit. But I can also remix another. And this is one of the great attributes of Glitch is that you can send me some code. I can remix your code, which means I have a copy of your code that I can edit. So I'm going to remix this. And notice that it's changed the title to Workable Tangi Rule. Here's the README again, but here is the index. And I'll get rid of the SRI and the title. The title is what shows up in the tab. You'll see in a minute. And that's all the things I'm going to change here, actually. So this is, I am going to change something else. I'm going to change the settings. And there's, settings. And then there's, details. And here's the project name. So I'll call Think in 3D. And now I'll call it 391 intro. Intro. There we go. And I'll save that. And I'm not sure where it's saved, but I want it to be in the same project set that I looked at before. Let's look at it. Here in the preview window, you can see that it's active. Click and drag is look around, and WASD, or the arrow keys, is move around. So this is very much a gamer setup. And in fact, we're using something called A-Frame here. So A-Frame and Glitch are different. Glitch is the IDE. A-Frame is what creates, here we go. Okay, so I think there's a way to get this text to wrap. I'm not seeing all the text here. I can't remember now. I'll show you afterwards. But here's A-Frame. So we've in the script here. This is script, JavaScript. We have a src, which means source equals the link to A-Frame. And this is a actual URL link. That's the code for A-Frame. It's not really meant to be read by human beings. There is a version you can find that's not a minified, that's more obtuse and that's more easy to read for human beings. But this is better for browsers because it's shorter, no spaces, just crammed in their code. So I have one now called Think in 3D, 391 intro, and let's see where that actually is. My projects. Think in 3D, but is it in? It's not here, so it might be that I want to. I'm not sure where it is. It's playlists. Under the playlists are my projects. Here they are. Recent projects. So I want to add it to a playlist. CSC 391. So now it's in my CSC 391 project. There it is. Think in 3D 391 intro. All right, so let's look at it. If I click on the actual project, this is what it looks like again. And this is, by the way, this is also a live view, and I can treat it like that. And if I wanted to look at the source code here, I could. But in general, it's nicer to edit the project, which I'll do here. Visit. So now I'm looking at the code. I can okay, edit the project. I can preview. Where'd the preview button go? The prettier button formats the code, but I didn't really need to do that. No preview button, huh? How about edit project? There we go. I think this visit and this edit are maybe not the same. There we go. This is what I expected to see. So if I don't have a preview, I can open it here. It's called the preview pane. Again, I have a preview in a new window, and this one is called Think in 3D 391 intro intro.glitchme. So the glitchme part is the part I can't control. Notice that Thinking in 3D is the title, and it shows up in the tab. So it's pretty well branded. If I have a company name or something, I could create a bunch of sites like this. And I just want to, okay, and then wrapping, we gotta have wrapping. Here we go. So under settings, scroll down a bit, toggle text wrap, there we go. Auto refresh is good. That means any change I make here will appear here instantly. It is possible to make some code that causes everything to crash, and then it's hard to get this to run because it's constantly crashing. So you might try untoggling this, and I want to keep on dark theme. So this is good. All right, so the text wrap means that I can see all this code here. It doesn't run off behind the preview pane. And let's just look here. So here's all this stuff up here is HTML stuff. The head is where the title goes, for instance, Thinking in 3D, and the title appears in the tab. And then there's some stuff here about an icon. That's the see this little icon? That's my icon. That's my branded icon. I am. The little fish icons are the default. So mine has a little icon, what we call an ICO, which in this case is a PNG. And it's 16 by 16, and you can make your own. But the main thing is down here is that we begin with, here's the A-frame script, and so that includes the script we looked at that shows how A-frame that makes A-frame work. And then that's the end of the head. And here's the body, and in the body we have a scene. And this is known as a tag in HTML. So A-frame sits on top of HTML, extends HTML to include the entire functionality of Three.js, the JavaScript library. Anyway, so this is a scene. This creates the tag for the scene. This is the assets. And notice that we close tags. Most tags have a closed version, and that's the closed assets. So this is an image in the assets. It's actually that image on that little um, polyhedron. And then we have a box. And this is comment in HTML. This is commented code in HTML. It's not doing anything. This is an entity tag, and we have entities and we have attributes, and that is very powerful and gives us a lot of flexibility. So this is an entity. It has an ID called box. You might guess from the comment and the ID that this refers to that. So it's a primitive. A primitive is a basic shape like a sphere, box. We don't say cube because we might make it taller or wider than it is tall, or taller than it is wide, and that would no longer be a cube, so we call it a box. It's kind of it's a bit picky. And then position gives it a position in space. Notice that it's -1, so it's a little bit to the left. This is x. It's 0.5, so that is the y, which is up and down in this world. This world, the grid is x is side to side, y is up and down, and z is into the space. Into the space like this, right? Or out. So the first number is -1. It's 1 meter to the left. It's 0.5 meters up from 0. And it's -3 meters in front of me. So minus is in front of me, plus would be behind me, a +1 would be to the right. In fact, this cylinder is +1 on the x. But this is a little odd, right? So 0.5 meters, half a meter up. It's because we're measuring from the center of the box. And the box is, by default, it doesn't say here, but it is by default 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. We can change it and make it something else, but that's the default. Notice that it's been rotated around the y-axis, meaning that it has rotated as if there was a pole right through the y-axis and is rotated around that pole. So we only rotated around the y-axis. And then the color, this is hexadecimal color. If you're not familiar with it, it goes like this. These two, I want to call them spaces, not quite digits, because you see there are letters involved, are the red, the green are the next two, and the blue are the next two. So this describes that color. It's mostly bluish, but obviously there's some red in it and some yellow, a little bit of yellow, but mostly blue. Green, excuse me, a little bit of green. RGB. G is green. Let's just make that a different color. So we'll make it. Do you know how high it can go? FF is the highest it can go, and then 00 is the lowest. And so that's red. That's pure red. Notice we have shadow here, and there's the shadow, and it's dynamic. It moves as we move around. If the light moves, it will also move. And if we lose sight of something, we can always just make a change. Like I just added a space or a return and enter, and we get it pops back to the first view. So that's oops. I want to get back to the blue. So that's where we're starting from. The sphere has a radius. Here we are. The sphere has a radius. So if we wanted, with the primitive box, we could say semicolon height colon 3. You can see it goes right through the ground because its center point needs to be moved up, right? So we can move the position up. And so how far would we move that up? We would move that up to 1.5, which is half of 3. So that we're always looking at the half of its height for its position. It's weird, you have to get used to. Whereas the sphere, it has a radius, but its position is 1.25, which is the same as its radius, because the radius only measures half the height of a sphere. It's from the center to any point on the surface, so for instance the bottom. So from the center to the bottom is 1.25, but the whole thing is 2.5 meters tall. It's a little weird, you have to get used to. And the cylinder has both a radius, like a circle, and a height, like we gave to the cube. So, for instance, if we get rid of the height, the default for the cylinder is 1 meter tall. And notice it kind of floats above the ground. And then we have a ground plane. And then we have what I call the logohedron, but you can see here it's an octahedron, which has 8 sides. The octahedron, because it's kind of like a sphere, in other words, it's got more sides than a cube. We use a radius, not a height and width and depth. Although, I don't know. Could we give it a height? Nope. So it only uses a radius. So there's no way to make an oblong one of those, which is weird. There must be a way. And notice that it has a material. All these others also have a material, but in each case it's just a color with a hexadecimal. But here we have a material which is an SRC, which equals. This colon kind of means like equals here. Inside the quotes, colons mean kind of like equals, and outside the quotes, equal means equals. So SRC equals our colon hashtag texture underscore IAM. Repeat 4 times around, but only 1 time up and down. And you can see there's only one time up and down, but 4 times around. And that hashtag refers us back to, it means that there has been a reference earlier, and there it is. It's the ID. So this is the source for the image, and it's worth to just copy this. You can see that it's actually and this image is hosted by Glitch, so that's not bad. Glitch is hosting this image. It's hosting this site. It's allowing me to name most of the URL. Brand it myself, and it runs like it should. So that's Glitch, and it's what we'll be using. And this, I'm going to share this exact, here, let's get rid of all the changes. Oh, well, that's no good. So we're not letting me get rid of all of the changes. I don't know if it's the number of undos. It can't be, but somehow I lost the ability to make those changes, to undo. I'm hitting Control Z, nothing's happening. So I want this cube to be back the way it was. I'll make it back the way it was, and then I'll share this with you through the canvas.